Welcome to another video about Reflexis Flow. In this video, I'd like to give you a quick demo of our platform. Why? Because if you look at our website or any of the presentations that we do, we often call Reflexis Flow something like a model-driven platform for agile web application development. And it sounds nice, but what does it actually mean? For us, Reflexis Flow was something that we created to make building software easier. We feel it should be easier to create. Once you've created it, it should be easier to change, to adapt. Preferably, it should be less buggy. And well, since we're talking about web application development, less buggy also means it should be as secure as possible, more secure, very secure. And last but not least, you create software to fit a particular requirement. There's a particular something it should do, and oftentimes, and I think this is one of the dirty little secrets of the software industry, software simply doesn't match the requirements that well, and oftentimes this is blamed on a lack of productivity and people just trying, they say we should be more productive, let's get in more developers, or let's outsource, get in more developers from another country, or they think that we're writing this software using our IDEs. Let's get smarter IDEs so they can do the writing for us, or they can help us write code more quickly. And essentially we feel that it's writing good software is not about producing more lines of code. It's not a matter of quantity, it's a matter of quality, and that's one of the reasons why we came up with Reflexis Flow, and our solution was not to write more code, but to switch to what we call model-driven development. And model-driven development is basically building software by constructing models. So obviously the next question then is, what's a model? And a model is it can be all sorts of things, and different people or different teams or companies come up with different definitions. But I usually call it a description of the problem or a description of the solution. It sort of depends on who you're talking to. And because it's a description, obviously it should be stated in a suitable language, a suitable domain language. I realize that this all sounds very abstract, and that's why I think it's a good idea to actually show you how to create a simple, a really trivial web application using Reflexis Flow, because our platform is basically a tool by developers for developers. So that makes it fairly important that people understand what the platform is all about, and give you a bit of an idea of how to work with it. So let's start a quick demo. This is actually, the demo I'm going to do is something I actually did for a workshop in Switzerland, the Lua International Workshop, and I think it was 2011 that I did this. It was the only time I did the demo, and I found it just the other day, and I thought, well, it's actually very nice material to quickly show people how to create a small web application, because it's about taking some input, doing something with it, and then producing some output. Well, it doesn't get any more basic than that. And what I did back then in Switzerland was build a calculator for body mass index, for a BMI calculator. So let's recreate this particular demo and see how it goes. So there are all kinds of ways for people to start, but what I'll be doing is to define my web application using a textual definition. So it's just me typing away, building the model, and seeing if I can do this. So let's see. First, I need to start out with a file. Let's call it quick demo. Yes, sorry about the beeping. I'm opening it up, and so at this point, it's probably a good idea to tell you that. Well, no. First, let's start with the body mass definition. I looked up the Wikipedia page. And as you can see here, BMI is defined by this body mass divided by the square of the body height. So body mass should be in kilograms and height in meters, and that's the basic formula. So that's one thing to know. And I'm starting out in this editor because, well, this is the way this is one way to build your flow. A flow is essentially a collection of steps that you wire together, and a step is either a page that the user sees or an action that needs to be performed on the server. Well, let's try a little hello world thing. Hello world. Do it like this. So this is a flow with exactly one step, and it's actually almost ready to run. Because it's a web application, I need to tell the definition. I should provide a page template. So you can have any page template that you like, but I actually prepared one for this demo, and I should mention it in the definition. So I can actually say, oh, for the page of the flow, we're using a predefined template. I'll open this template later on, and you can see what it's all about. And the other thing that I need to do is, because a flow can contain one step, or 300 or 500 steps, whatever. You need to tell it what the starting step is, because any program, any piece of software needs a beginning, so it needs to begin somewhere. And this is how we do that. So I get back to the gates later on, but I'm basically telling here the start step is the one that I named welcome here. So I just, I'll make this a bit larger here. I actually, by pressing a key combination, I actually ran a quick utility that imported my definition into the Flow repository. So basically takes what I typed here, checks it, and imports it into the Flow repository, which makes it available, which makes it ready to run if everything went well. So another thing that I opened here was what we call the local flow menu, Out of the box, there's just a couple of flows that are available. But if I press F5 now, we find that there's now also a quick demo flow. That and the name of the flow is derived from the name of the text file in this case, so which is pretty much what we want. Let's move this away. Take this here, and I can click this, and there you have it. It says "Hello World." So this is a very, very, very basic page. Maybe I should make it a bit smaller. Oops, I can change it here. Import it again, which while importing it basically here says sync flow. It synchronizes the definition. If we now move to this here and I refresh the page, you can actually see that it's being updated. So there's some space here at the top, and that's because maybe it's a good idea for me to open the page template. Demo. Here's the page template that I referenced. It says demo small.html. So I've opened it here. And the page template is nothing but, you know, the template for the page that the web application uses. You can pretty much use anything you like. But if you look here, then you see there's a section for a header and a section for the sheet. So the sheet holds the content, and the header will display the header property of the particular step that we're on. So if we do it like this, I add a quick demo, synchronize it. If we now go, let's remove this one, refresh the page, and there's the header. So, well, that didn't hurt, and it was actually fairly quick. So now so we have a definition that we're able to run. So now it's time to try and build the actual calculator. So we've seen the hello world. So let's add a little something, add a few steps that asks for the input, performs the calculation, and then shows the actual BMI value, so the result of the calculation. And maybe it's a good idea to use this first step as a bit of a branching off point. So I'll say let's build a little something using Reflexis Flow, and yeah. So at this point, it's probably a good idea to show you that flows contain steps, and steps can contain what we call parts. Parts are the bits and pieces that actually do something on a page. So if I, for instance, want to add a button, a simple clickable button to a page, I can do it like this. I can say, for instance, start the calculator, and now I can define that start is actually a button. So let's see. I'll give it a caption, and I'll give it a target. We'll get back to that in a minute. These are all properties that I can set as well, but I don't need them, so let's get rid of them. If I synchronize this definition and now go here, press F5, you immediately see the changes that we just entered. Now I can actually also press this button, but you know, nothing much happens. So let's pick it up from here, and let's make it that if we press the start button, it actually goes to a small form where you can ask someone for, you know, their height and their body mass, and their height and their weight, to calculate the body mass index. So as I said, flows are essentially a collection of steps. So here we need to ask a particular person for their data. So let's do that. Let's create that form. And I should probably mention that this demo is not about, you know, adding styling and you know, all the groovy features. It's about demonstrating the basic features and to give you an idea of the structure and the way this works. So I'll just do a quick form, and without any adding any styling, and see where we end up with. So well, like I said, we need to ask for some input. So let's ask for the person's name first. Yes. So what we want to do is have an input field that accepts a text, so that the user can enter a name, and obviously that'll be a part that we can define later on. So I'll here say, what's your height? And there should be a field that accepts a number, and we should ask about the weight, and we can do that here. And well, height should be in meters, so it's probably a good idea to mention that, and do the same thing with weight, which should be in kilograms. So we've pretty much asked for all the bits and pieces that we need. So at this point, it'd be nice to have like something like 2 buttons, OK and cancel. And then we need to define the various parts. So here, for instance, I know that I need something like a UI text part. And there are all kinds of properties that you can set, but this is the most important one. And I think I'll leave off all the others. And to save us some typing, I'm asked about height. I'll do it like this. Specify where the value should go. And in this case, numbers for this particular part, or this UI component, user interface component, you can actually specify if it should accept floating point values or integer values. And I think that the default is integer, so let's make sure that it accepts floating point values. And do the same with weight. Now, I could go on and define OK and cancel buttons as well, pretty much like I did here, but that would end up, well, that would result in me typing lots of additional stuff. So what I'll do now is I'll pull in some definitions that I've prepared. And again,Ll show you later on how these definitions look. So you know how that works as well. So at this point, And oh yeah, so well, let's open them up now. So these are the definitions that I'm pulling in, that I've just pulled in here. So I'm saying, oh, this flow knows about particular parts, so particular components. And the components are here. So there's a component called OK, and that's a button with the caption OK. And if you select it, it'll choose a particular exit point from the step. So any steps can have exit points, and choosing an exit point means it routes, it jumps to a particular other step. So that's the way routing works. So here's the cancel button, and it chooses the cancel gate, etc., etc. So if we now go back to the definition of this particular step that we want to act as a form. So let's do a quick review. It says, hello again, what's your name? There's a field for the name. It asks about height. There's a field for the height, about weight, field for the weight, and 2 buttons. And so here are the definitions of these step parts. And all we need to do now is make sure that from here, we actually reach or jump to this form step. So the way to do that is to say, so this start button actually chooses the BMI gate. So I just need to say this, the BMI gate routes to ask data. And this should wire this welcoming step, the first step that we saw, and it's the current page here, to our new second step. So let's synchronize, see what happens. Oops. Here. I'm pressing start, and here is our form. So I forgot about the header, so let's add that. Header is, let's call them your details. Well, maybe I should do it a bit like this, so we can have them next to each other. I can make this a bit smaller. Yeah, this should work. I think I already synchronized this. So I'm pressing F5. Here's the header. Here's our form. And well, let's enter something. See what happens. Well, let's first click the OK button. See what happens. So now I've clicked the OK button, and what you see here is these UI parts are actually by default are required fields. So now it actually complains about that we didn't enter anything. So that's good. Obviously, OK and cancel buttons don't do anything yet, but well, we can wire this cancel button to go back to our welcoming step. So that's fairly easy to do. I can say, oh, the cancel button will choose the cancel gate. So if I do this, synchronize, press cancel here, and we're back to our first step. Click here and we're back to our form. Now, let's enter something. John. John is 180 and weighs 90 kilos. So, there are no complaints from the text fields, but because we didn't do anything, we didn't specify what should happen when we click this OK button, it stays here. So we can click the cancel button and we can click start here. And as you see, it remembered the old values. Why? Because these parts are smart enough to know about where they store things. So for instance, for the name field, I said whatever the user enters, store it under this, in this particular location. And if it steps away from, if it moves away from this step, John will be stored in this particular location in what we call the session context. The context is something like a data space that holds all these values. So even going back to the first page and then switching back again to the form, the parts know that they can pick up this value. And if you don't want this behavior, obviously a smart thing to do is simply clear the values, but we won't do that here. So we have some values. We have a form that accepts these values, makes sure that that they're not empty. So now we need to perform the calculation. And to do that, let's simply add another step. So I'm adding another step. What shall we call it? We can let's simply call it calculate. Calculate. So in the previous two steps, there was a page property and a collection of parts that define what everything in the page does. And if you look here, it says these are user steps. So it says kind is user. So that makes these two steps user steps. And user steps are steps that produce pages that someone sees in their web browser. For the calculation, that doesn't have to be a page. It's just a calculation. So there's an expression and there's a result, and the result should be stored somewhere. So, and we call steps that perform actions but don't produce any pages server steps. So, but we can simply still say, for server steps, the page simply holds the collection of parts that run. So here it says, there's a calculation part, and the calculation part is a calculation that isn't also is called standard calculation. So what's the expression? Well, here are the values that we collected, the location of the values we collected. So, and if we move back to the Wikipedia page, here it says it's mass divided by height squared. So that's the calculation that we need to do. I can simply say person weight divided by person height. Well, we can do the squared thing, or I can do it like this. And we need to store it somewhere. So let's store it under person BMI. Remove the properties that we don't need, and since we finished this step, we can now define the last step of the calculator, and that's meant to show the result. So obviously that's going to be another user step, so let's call it show BMI. Well, let's make it a bit fancy. So let's say hello, your body mass index is, and then display the results and highlight it a bit. Yes, so here's a bit of text. It has two parts, name and BMI, but we already know the name and we've calculated the BMI. So in this case, we simply need to display values that we've collected. Oops, this is not what I want. Make this a bit smaller. So fortunately, we have parts for that as well, and I can simply say I want to display this thing here, and actually what you see is the display part has an expression property, so actually we didn't have to have a separate step to do the calculation. We could have just done it here, but then I wouldn't have been able to show you and explain to you how server steps work. So we need to display the result as well. Yes. Do this, synchronize it. That's why there's something happening here. And let's see. Oh, I forgot. So let's do a quick review. So we have a welcoming step. From there's the start button gets us to the form where we ask for some input. The form has an OK button and a cancel button. The cancel button we already wired, but the OK button wasn't wired yet. So I'll say if the user presses OK, they should move or jump or whatever to the calculate step. And here, when the calculation is performed, has been performed, it should move to the show BMI step. And I think this should be it. So we actually still have our running application here, and you've probably already noticed I can develop my web application while it's actually running. I can tweak things while it's running, and that really helps because you can build things incrementally. You can test it while you change things, and well, in this case, let's simply see what happens. Wow, it already works. It says, "Hello, John. Your body mass index is 72.7777 something." So those are lots of decimals. So let's say, oh, this is a floating point value, but I only need 1 decimal. Oh, and I also forgot a header value for the top of the page. So let's do it like this. So refresh the page. And there we are. A simple calculator. Obviously, because I didn't provide any navigational elements, there is no way to go back. So let's add that. In one of the parts that I pulled in is actually a back button. So let's put it on top. The back button. And the back button chooses a back gate, and let's say it routes to the first welcoming step. So refresh the page. There's our back button. It actually floats to the right, as you can see. If I press it, we're back to the beginning of our demo. And well, it's actually not very nice to jump to the beginning, so let's do something else. Mike is 192, weighs 120, which is a lot. Here is Mike's BMI. So instead of jumping to the first step, let's jump to the beginning of the calculator. So I just changed the routing here. If I press this now, it immediately jumps to these values. So, and that's basically it. That's a working BMI calculator built without any coding. So what I've done is define this flow. If I fold the definition, you see that there were four steps. So we built it very quickly. We tested it while writing it. As I said, we didn't do any coding. The only coding that I really did is just write the expression for the body mass index. So that was fairly easy. And something that you've probably also noticed is that all the interaction, if you're familiar with web development, then you've seen that all the interaction is synchronous, or everything you do loads another page. So that's something that we'll address in a second. I've just realized that this is a bit bare bones. So it's actually nice to add a bit of a graphical element just to show you how easy it is to do so. So one of there are all sorts of ways to make this a bit sexier, but what we could do is add a gauge, so you get a bit of an idea of how to interpret this value. So a part that we do have available is a gauge part. The gauge part, let's add it to our page. The gauge part uses a Google, some code provided by Google, and it renders a nice gauge. So I just need to fill in a couple of interesting properties. Let's put BMI in there. What's a good maximum value for the gauge? 40, I think. Well, let's remove some stuff. Yeah, this is okay. Well, let's see what happens. Press F5. Oops, there it goes. So this is a gauge. We see the label here. This is not what I want. The minimum value is 0, maximum value is 40. So this seems to be okay, but these are not the. There are no tick marks, so that's probably because we didn't provide any. Yes, so I want the major tick marks here. Does this help? Well, this is looking nice already. Like this. Yes, this makes sense. And well, we don't need to provide any specific colors, but we can provide 3 ranges. The green range is an OK range, and the yellow and red are, the below OK and the above OK, I think. These are fine. We don't need them. Let's have a quick look at what OK values for body mass index actually are. Let's see. blah, 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 blah. Here, commonly accepted BMI ranges are under 18.5, between 18.5 and 25, and over 25 or over 30. Okay, we can use that. So 18.5 to 25, the green range, 0 to 18.5, the yellow range, and well, 25 to 30 could be the red range. Let's see what happens. And there you have it. So here's our simple modeled calculator. Again, you can do pretty much anything you like. Oh, if I do ABC here, it'll moan about this. And if I do 90 here, it comes up with the value, and the gauge helps you interpret this value. So, as I've said, interaction in this calculator is all synchronous. Whenever I do something, it loads a new page. But Reflexis Flow also supports asynchronous operation, which is very, very, very common these days. So let's do a quick demo about that. So what I'll do is basically show you a little bit of database interaction. I prepared a small, very, very small database holding some fictional persons belonging to some fictional organizations, and let's create a quick page that shows this list of people. So I want another button. I'll just say show. People don't need any of this, and well, show people. Naming things is always the hardest part about writing software, I think. So show people. As I said, I prepared a small database holding like 30 or 40 people, and I want to display it in this page. So we have various parts for that, but the part that we often use is the data grid. Data grid really should have been called SQL grid or SQL grid or whatever, but it works on a query, and if you have the query, then you plug it in here. So we select first name, last name, and I think organization from, I think the table is called participant. And if we have this data, then we need to define how it should be displayed. So I'd like two columns, one of the first column holding the name, second column holding the organization. So and the item property is something that we can use to specify what goes into which table cell. So this is essentially a small template. I think it should be like this. I don't need any of this. Yes, it would be nice to have some labels above the columns. So in the first column we have the name of the person, and the second column the organization they belong to. Let's not make anything. Filter could be interesting. No. Yeah, let's keep this, and let's sort it on first name. I'm basically removing all the stuff that I think I don't need. This is something that we'll add later on. And well, let's see what happens. So I've synchronized the definition. If I refresh the page here, then you see the extra button that we added here. So clicking this button, show button, selects the people gate, which routes to show people, which is the step that we've just added here. And obviously this is another user step. So let's see what happens. And here it is. Here's the list of people. Again, I forgot about the header. Let's call it the people. Synchronize it. Press F5. And here's the list. I actually said, oh, please sort it on sort field. If I remove that, it'll probably come up in a it's actually already fairly sorted, so that's nice. No, I think that's no. Anyways, there's no navigation back, so I forgot that. I always forget that. So let's add the back button, and since the back button chooses the back gate, and let's route this to the welcoming page. So here's the back button. Here we move to the calculator. Here we go. Look. Yes, it remembered the sorting. Now it's not sorted, and now I can click through it. There's like 4 pages. So this is page 4 out of 4. If I go here, it's the first page, but it actually looks nicer sorted. So let's do it like that. Go here, go back here. And it's sorted, and you can select stuff. And you can actually configure, because setting properties on parts is actually configuring these components, and you can actually configure the data grid to jump somewhere if you click something, or to trigger different actions in the page performed by other parts, like updating information or whatever. But the asynchronous bit that I mentioned earlier is already here. So clicking this button here, and these buttons, these paging buttons, actually updates only this bit and nothing else. Actually, there's probably a better way to show this. What I'll do is just imagine that this would be a very large data set and not the 40 something that it is now. We could actually add something like a search field that filters this set, and yes, that's a good idea. So let's do that. I'm adding another part. We're calling the part search, and search is not a text field, but something that we call a type ahead field. The type ahead field is is a text field, but it actually it sends its input as soon as it changes. So let's specify that whatever the user type should be stored here, and the associates property holds the names of the parts that should be updated if the input is updated. So in this case, whenever the search property, the search data, the user enters data, it is stored in the search field, and I want the overview, the overview part to be updated. And I'll specify here that it should, the data grid actually has a separate property that enables searching through these records. And this should be enough. Oh, there's a placeholder property. That's actually nice. Let's do it like this. There's a there's a reset property. Okay, let's refresh the page. And here is our, what we call our type ahead input. So if I do something like this, nothing much happens. So that's not what we want. Let's see. Oh, it should filter. Yeah, this is the filter field. Press F5. Let's do it like this. Nothing happens again. Ah, yes. And that's because I did not specify the fields that should be searched. So in this case, I can say first name, we can search all the fields. No, let's try this again. Let's go back here. Show the list of people. And nothing happens again. So what did I forget? I probably misspelled some of the properties. So let's see what the properties are. As you can see, this data grid, it's actually a fairly powerful grid. And here's the filter value. Search, the space separator, oh yeah, so search, yes, it should be like this. Okay. Be nicer to move it like this. Let's see if that solves it. No, I still forgot something. So the sort field, search, is it Reflexis? Yes. Okay, we're in business. Down. Data. Yes. Excellent. So there you have it. Sorry about all the looking for the right properties. In this case, it's a fairly elaborate property, but I'll show you how it's actually a long property list. So, but I'll show you that there are several ways to define your flow, and usually you don't have to struggle with remembering the properties. But we'll get to that in a minute or two. Yes, I wanted the reset button here. If you set this property like this, you get this extra button. Pressing it will actually do it like this. So, and there you have it, asynchronous operation. Right. So at this point, it's probably good to do a bit of a recap. I hope you've now seen that flows are basically models for web applications. So flows contain steps, and these steps, they produce either browser pages for the user to interact with, or they perform actions on the server. Like I've shown you a really basic action, like performing a simple calculation, but it could be pretty much anything, like talk to web services, perform complex queries, do calculations, you know, you name it. For these steps to do something, they contain parts. So the parts are actually the bits the parts are components that render stuff, that perform actions, and parts in turn can use code that you've prepared, library scripts. And the final bit is, because flows are a collection of steps, obviously steps need to be connected. So you need to know, oh, from this place in the application you can move to that place under these conditions. If the user clicks this button, it goes to the calculator. If it clicks the cancel button, it goes back to the main menu, and from there you can go here and, you know, filter and move back. And those connections between steps are done by gates. So there you have flows, you have steps, parts, and underneath parts, to implement parts, there are library scripts, and we have a huge library of these scripts, so to do all kinds of things. What you've seen here is that what I hope you've seen is that Flow essentially provide structure for web applications. So and this structure it actually connect as a map that tells you where a user is, and so you can actually say, if a user interacts with this page from here, this person can move to these pages and under these conditions. And it may sound like a very simple and straightforward thing, but this actually helps tremendously, because even if you have a very large web application done by somebody else, simply opening the flow definition gives you really easy access to how this application is defined. So to give you a bit of another idea of looking at flows, it's probably good to do the following thing. I should go to my local menu here and quickly show you that there's another way to deal with flow definitions. Like I said, flow can be used to model web applications, but you don't need to model them using text definitions. We also created a modeler in Flow that help you model other flows. So here's our flow modeler. The first thing that it does is, I should probably make this a bit larger. Maybe a bit larger still. No, this is good. And here it says quick demo. So the thing that's running here obviously is, we imported it into the Flow repository, but because it's in the Flow repository, we can open it here, and because the Flow definition is basically a data structure, one of the things we can do is visualize it. So here we have a graph visualization. Let's do it like this. Let's fold it here. These were the 5 steps that we created, and here are the same 5 steps, but visualized. So there's the welcoming page. Here's our form. If you choose the BMI route, from the form, if the user chooses OK, there's a calculation performed in the server step. That's why it's blue. The user steps are red. And after the calculation, the results are shown. And here you see that if the user presses the back button, initially it went back to the welcoming step. Now it goes back to the form step. So from this menu page, there was the asynchronous scenario that I demoed, which we call show people, which is here. And well, so from this modeler, let's go to ask data. Here you see the same definition. Here is the page, and here highlighted are the parts. So I can actually say, click this, and here we see that it only has one property set, a result property. Here there are 2 properties. For the height part, the result should be stored in person height, and it operates in real mode. Steps have gates. So here are the gates. I can click this here, and then I see, oh, there's a calculation part, and here's the expression, here's the result. For instance, if we go back to the show people step, here's the data grid that I was struggling with. Here are the properties that I set. But if I did not know about any of these properties, I could have simply said, edit them. And here's the complete list of all the properties with all the different values. For instance, count record is a Boolean, hide on empty is a Boolean. The pager is actually so the paging buttons can be placed on top or below, or simply not be hidden. If you click on any of these fields, it'll show you a quick help text explaining what the field is all about. So here we can see that the search field is a space separated list of names that the filter should be applied against. And well, let's do a quick here. Here's the type ahead part. We called it search. And here are all the properties. So the properties that are bold are the required properties, which is why we set them. Right, so if we go back to all flows here, you see all the list of flows in this repository. Here you can see that the flow modeler itself is a flow as well. So we simply click this, ask for the list of steps, and obviously, because it does a lot, these are all the steps of this flow modeler. So the flow modeler to model flows is a flow itself, which means that you can tweak it, you can change it if you like. I'm not really going to do that because it's sort of it'll just make this video longer and longer. But I think it's good to know that you can change the modeler to your liking, and if you'd like to, you can even create your own modeler and use this modeler as a template or just a sort of inspiration, and make it work the way you'd like to. Again, I hope that by now you've seen that flows are essentially data structures, models, and because they are data structures, there's all sorts of things that you can do. first of all, or they're fairly easy to read. Even if someone else created it like years ago, you can simply go through them and see how things were assembled and wired together. So you can discuss them, you can analyze them, you can visualize them, like I've just shown you in the Flow Modeler. One of the things that we found, that even if the application grows more complex, grows larger, and we've developed some fairly large applications with Flow, you can still comprehend them. They're still easy to understand. It's not like, oh, this is some code base and the previous team wrote this 5 years ago, and now it's up to you to make things work again. If you've been there, you know what a nightmare it can be. And honestly, for Flow, it's not such a great nightmare. It's often fairly easy to get into it and work on it. In any case, it really helps you reduce errors, because parts are components, and once a part does its thing, it's basically a matter of configuring it and to make it do its thing the way you like to. So that really helps as well. Something that you maybe by now you get the impression that there's no coding at all, but that's not the case. We're not against coding. In fact, it's fairly easy to integrate code into your flows. So let's finish by writing a small bit of code. So one of the things I'd like to do is enhance this page just a little bit. So we'll go here. We'll go to the result, and since we've had this result, what I can do is add a little remark like this, and to make it stand out, I can do it like this. Let's make some room here. Make this a bit larger. I can move this back. So we added a remark part to this, and what I'm doing now, I'm saying, this is I want to plug in some code here. So what I'd like to do is take this value, see if it's if it falls in which range it falls, and then produce a small comment. So I can say the BMI value, it was stored in the context under person BMI. So let's safeguard this. If there's nothing there, we'll just do nothing. And then we're saying if the BMI, what were the values? So the cutoff point was 18.5. If it's smaller than 80.5, we'll say something clever. So if it's larger than 25, we'll say no more cookies for you today. And else we'll say, well, looking good. In the green range. Something like this. So this is what we call a code snippet. So the code is in Lua, which is a very nice scripting language. And because snippets, these code snippets can run for server steps or for user steps. You need to ensure that they run in what we call the right phase. So server steps run in the so-called processing phase, and user steps have a present phase and the process phase. So when the page is produced, it's in present phase. When values are processed, it's either in processing phase or in what we call respond phase. But since this is something that we'd like to do and have included in the page, I've specified it like this. So let's see what happens. Here's our little text. So let's see if we can get another result. There it is. So we've actually enhanced our codeless model with some code using a snippet part. And this can be very useful because it can fill in functional gaps, or it can, if you're writing stuff and it's just a little something that you need to do. This is a good way to do it. Obviously, the better route is to code your own parts. Because that improves overall quality, and it also promotes reuse. Any code that you put in a part is some code that can easily be reused. Like you've seen the button part, the Google Gauge part, display parts. Anyone who is not able to code can use these parts. So any code that you transform into parts, promotes reuse, and it helps you increase productivity. Right, so time to wrap this up. I have no idea how much time I took because I forgot to look. Like I said in the beginning, I think writing more and more code is not always the best way to develop software. I really feel that it's a good philosophy to always consider alternatives. And what we've done with Reflexis Flow is actually fuse or merge three worlds. So on the higher level, we use a bit of a model-driven approach, like defining web applications by building these flow definitions. One level below there, you have the parts, so which basically is provide you the convenience of components that you can configure. And below that, there's always coding. So you can create your own part, or you can simply code a few quick snippets like I've just done. And, have some good old-fashioned procedural programming. These are three paradigms that work really well. It really meshes together very nicely. And, there you have it. A very brief demo of Reflexis Flow. I hope you liked it. If you have any questions, we have a mailing list that you can post them to. If you don't know about the mailing list or aren't a member, post them in the comments, and we'll try to answer them as quickly as possible. In any case, I hope this has been a useful demo. Thank you for watching, and hopefully until the next video. Bye bye.